Hey everyone, thank you so much for being here today. My name is Denise. I'm also known as heywigsister on Instagram and Facebook. Today I want to talk with you about hair toppers. You know, hair toppers, the little bits of hair that you can stick on the top of your head if you have thinning hair, clip in and help enhance your hair. Those hair toppers. I normally only talk about wigs here on my channel, but I get so many questions about toppers that it's high time I make a video. So if you want to know more about toppers, we're going to talk about what are toppers, the pros and the cons, some of the things to consider if you're looking to purchase alternative hair. And I'm going to show you some different toppers and help you learn a little bit about them. So if you want to know more, then stick around. If you're new to my channel, maybe you discovered it because of the topic of this video. I have been suffering from hair loss since I was in my 20s. And I'm 51 now, and I've been wearing wigs since 2018. And I do a lot of videos on wig wearing, but I also do videos on other things that can be helpful for women with hair loss. Toppers is one topic I have not covered here yet. And I think it's high time we talk about toppers because they are definitely a viable solution for anyone who has thinning hair or hair loss and they want to help either hide their scalp or add some density and volume to their hair. Now, the wig I'm wearing right now, this is a wig, not a topper. This is a budget-friendly human hair wig from Emma Hairpiece. I've done a number of reviews of Emma Hairpiece wigs. I absolutely love that they offer a more affordable option for human hair. If you want to know more about this piece, I did review this style in 2 colors. I will link that video in the description. In addition, I'll link any of the pieces that I show if you're interested in checking them out, and I will timestamp the important sections of this video. So if you want to skip ahead to something in particular, you can go look at those timestamps and go ahead and do that. Let's start by talking about the benefits of toppers. Now, first of all, one of the biggest benefits of toppers is that they can often be more affordable than full wigs. And let's think about why that might be. First of all, depending on the topper that you get, you can get a little, this is actually not a really little base, but the base of a topper is going to be smaller in general than the base of a wig. Let's take a look at this just so that in case you haven't really ever looked at wigs or toppers, you can see that whole thing is meant to cover all of my head. And when you've got a big base like this, you've got to put quite a bit of fiber or hair in it to make it look normal or natural. Whereas with a littler base, you don't have to put as much fiber or hair into it. So right off the bat, lesser materials can mean lesser expense. So toppers can be a lot cheaper and more affordable than full wigs. Another benefit is that toppers can be a lot cooler than a full wig. Again, let's consider the fact that this wig right here, when I put it on my head, it is covering my entire head from my hairline all the way down my neck and all of this. So right there, you know, we know that if we cover our head, it helps to hold the heat in. While wigs aren't generally as hot as a hat, they can be comparable depending on how dense, how much hair, if there's permatease, if it's a synthetic, all of the things that can make it hotter. Versus, let's grab a longer topper because this will be more comparable. Versus a topper, and this one has a decent sized base as well, but it's still only covering a portion of my head. The topper ends right here. Only this part of my head is covered by that topper. And when you look in the back, you can see how little hair this actually has. Because toppers are meant to blend with your bio hair. So I would have my own hair pulled out in the back and I wouldn't need as much hair on the topper. So that's another benefit to toppers being a little bit cooler than wigs. So if you run hot and you can wear a topper, you have enough hair for that, strongly consider getting at least one topper, even if you do sometimes wear wigs, because it can be a lot cooler. Another benefit is they're generally lower density and they typically don't have permatease. If you're someone who would be looking at synthetic or heat-friendly synthetic toppers, there's something called permatease added to wigs that give it lift, give it a little volume, and to hide the cap on wigs that don't have a lot of cap features like monofilament. On a topper, you're not really going to get that permatease. So when you put a topper on your head, this one's a really small amount of hair, but you're not going to get like all of the poofiness that you might see in a wig. It is going to be a little bit poofier on the top than you may be used to if you've been losing your hair, but nothing like a wig. One of the things I talk about a lot in my videos is that it can take time to train your brain to see yourself in more hair, especially if you've been losing your hair for a long time. No matter how low density, even if it doesn't have permatease, often wigs look wiggy to a new wig wearer because you're not used to seeing yourself like that. A topper, while still it could have that impact, it's going to be less than if you wear a full wig. So that's another benefit to toppers, especially as you're transitioning into wearing alternative hair. Another benefit of toppers is that they carry every base size imaginable. So if you only have a little bit of hair loss, let's just say your type of hair loss is all in the front. You have a hair loss and your hairline is disintegrating. You can get yourself this one doesn't have a lace front, but I have one here with a lace front. This one has a lace front. The point of lace fronts is to make it so that it looks like the hair is growing out of your scalp. So what you would do is you would take, and I apologize, I don't have any hair to really fully demonstrate, but hopefully you can visualize what I'm doing even with no hair. But with this lace front, once you get this secured on your head with the clips, and you can even adhere this lace with it stays roll-on adhesive, got to be glued hairspray or ebon spray. I have some videos showing how to adhere the lace on wigs so that it doesn't move and it lays flat. You can do the exact same thing with a lace front topper. And then basically you can do anything with this hair because the lace, once it's flat on your head, I can't obviously clip this topper in, it's going to look like it's growing out of your scalp. And so for someone just losing the front of their hairline, you don't need as big of a base, but you do need a lace front. That's another benefit of toppers. You can get lace fronts, you can get small, you can get one that just covers the tiniest little bit of your part line. If your part line is expanding, I mean, all the way up to a nearly full wig cap, you can really find a topper that's going to meet your unique needs. Whereas a wig, it's going to cover your whole head regardless, and that may be overkill for what you're looking for. So that's another benefit to toppers. Let's talk about some of the challenges of wearing toppers. One of the very first challenges is blending your bio hair. The nature of a topper means you have to have some bio hair to blend. And depending on the condition of your bio hair, the color of your bio hair, the texture of your bio hair, you might have a challenging time blending. So for example, let's just say this is my hair and I'm looking for something to cover the very top of my head only. I don't need to cover the rest of my hair. So I need to find a topper that's going to be passable with color. Now you can always get a topper that's a little bit lighter than your bio hair. That's a common coloring scheme. You'll see people whose underneath hair is a little bit darker, but you definitely want it to be in the same color family or it's going to look odd. In addition, if you have curly bio hair, then you're going to want to find a topper with a similar curl pattern, which can be very, very challenging. Or if you've got straight hair, then you're going to want to find a topper that's got the right style and length so that it easily blends in. You can see that this piece is layered. And so I would want to find a topper that has layering that will match up with these layers. So obviously this topper isn't going to work for me because it's far too short. And so then I would, continue to go down the line and try to find a topper that's going to match my layering. Now, if this color matched mine, I could potentially do something like this and have a hairstylist cut a few more layers into my own hair. Oops, the clips are in my wig hair, matching into my own hair so that it looks seamless. So that's another thing to consider, is your texture and your style, and can you blend that topper in with your hair? If you're looking for something really budget friendly, so you're probably looking more at, you can see I messed it up a little bit with that clip, you're looking more at maybe synthetic toppers. Sometimes the texture of those synthetic fibers can be a challenge with your bio hair. In that case, you're going to want to find a base that's a lot larger, because then you're going to have more hair on that topper, and that's going to make it a lot easier to blend with your own hair. Remember, the larger the base on the topper, the more hair is going to be on that topper, and the more it's going to cover your own hair, so that you will have an easier time of blending. So that's a challenge. Another challenge is the clips on a topper. So when I first started wearing wigs, I mentioned earlier, the very first piece that I purchased was a bell tress top wave topper, a heat-friendly synthetic topper. What I didn't understand about toppers was that the clips can be a real challenge on a very sensitive scalp, which I have. I have an incredibly sensitive scalp. I always have since I was a kid. And many toppers come with pressure clips. They're just pressure sensitive. They're like little mini combs. And then once you, let me see here if I can demonstrate. This one doesn't have a front clip because it's got a lace front, but so you'd put this on and then you'd scoop the clip into your hair, and then you would close it with the pressure, and then you would snap it down, and that is what will help hold that topper on your head. The problem is my scalp is so sensitive, I could never ever ever find a position for the clips that didn't cause me agony on my scalp. Just so ultra sensitive. So I couldn't make toppers work. I desperately wanted to make them work, and I couldn't because of the clips. You may not have the same issue. I know many women whose scalps are not bothered at all by the clips. We're all so different. Another option, if that's the case for you, is to find a topper that doesn't use clips. For example, this topper right here is by a company called, it's really tangly, I should have brought my comb. I keep pulling it off, putting it on. It's actually a human hair topper by a company called Thin Hair Thick, and they have clipless toppers. So this topper has combs and it has a band. This band is awesome. You tuck it behind your occipital bone, and then you kind of get that topper in place, and between the size of this and that band, it just sits on my head so securely. By the way, I have to thank a number of wig sisters who donated toppers to me so that I could do this content. I'm so grateful to my community for helping me help everybody else. I did have one topper sent to me by Name Brand Wigs. That's this one right here. We'll talk about it in a second. But the rest of these were donated to me by Wig Sisters, and I'm so grateful. So back to this Thin Hair Thick topper. This is super, super secure on my head right now, and I do not even have the combs tucked into hair. This band makes all the difference. And because this is not a lace front and it has bangs, which are a bit too long for me, I don't have to worry about it sitting super, super flat in the front like a lace front would need to. And you can see in the back here what I'm talking about with not very much hair. So I would need to have hair to blend, but this topper is phenomenal. So definitely consider looking at Thin Hair Thick. They make human hair, and I think they've got some synthetic as well, because if you can't use clips, this can be a great option. Another option, if the clips are a challenge for you, is to get yourself a wig grip made for toppers. This is by Milano, called the Top Grip, and it comes with this like string on it. So what you do, I'm just making sure I'm putting it on right, is you tuck that string back behind your occipital bone underneath your hair, because remember, this is a topper, you're gonna have hair there to blend. Then you put this up here, and this is going to add a measure of security. So if you add a topper to your head, let me see here, I don't want the one I just had. here we go. If you add a topper, then you don't have to worry as much about the clips right here. So you would take your topper and maybe you use some of the clips, maybe the back clips or something where maybe you don't have as much hair loss. This is going to be really hard because, again, I can't clip this at all. But then that would help hold that front down. So a topper grip could be a solution for you if you're struggling with clips. This will depend on the base. If the base isn't big enough, this isn't really going to help you. So again, a lot of trial and error is going to have to occur in this process. One last thing about the clipping in, another challenge, let's say you don't have a sensitive scalp, but your hair loss is significant enough in the front that it's very thin and fragile and prone to breakage. Those clips could actually really damage what little hair you have left up there. You definitely need to have enough hair to clip the clips into it to hold it securely. That's when a bigger base can come in handy. If you can get the clips further down the side or further down the back where your hair loss is less or not at all, that's going to help you. You can see my hair loss is very, very diffuse up here. If I were to grow my hair out and try to wear a topper, which I wish I would have known those thin hair, thick toppers existed back then, I would just need to get a much bigger base so that I could get the clips down on the back of my head where I don't have a lot of hair loss. I'd almost need a full, John Renault makes a topper that's almost the size of a wig cap. And you might wonder, well, why do that instead of a full wig? Some people don't want to wear a full wig, and it's still less than a full wig, so it would still be a little bit cooler. So just keep in mind, the clips can pose a lot of different challenges, and they can cause traction alopecia, which is just where the clips clip in can cause hair loss in that area. If you wear the same topper and put the same clips in the same spot over and over and over again, it can cause hair loss in that spot. A solution would be to sew some extra clips in and alternate. So maybe you have two clips side by side and you alternate which clips you use, or alternate pieces that may have different ways of attaching or clips in different places. Those are just some of the challenges to consider. Let's talk about how you choose what topper to purchase. So I would say the first thing to consider is what type of fiber do you think is going to work best for you? Are you looking for something that you can style regularly and something that you can maybe get colored to change the color of the topper? Then you're going to want to look for human hair because you're going to have a lot more flexibility with styling and coloring with human hair. Also, if you have a unique hair texture, sometimes you can find a human hair wig that will blend with your hair texture just a little bit better than a topper. When I first started wearing wigs, like I had mentioned, and I bought that Bell Truss Top Wave topper, one of the things I didn't know anything about was heat-friendly fibers. I had no idea that they required special care versus regular synthetic or even human hair. And within 4 days of wearing that topper, the fibers started to get frizzy and clumpy because it was long. It was down to my shoulders and it was rubbing on my clothing. So please educate yourself on heat-friendly fibers before you purchase a topper made out of them, unless you're going to get a shorter piece, because those aren't going to have as much issue. I have a video showing how to care for heat-friendly fibers. I do recommend straight heat-friendly for the beginner versus wavy or curly, because when you take heat to heat-friendly, it can straighten out that curl pattern. And I will link those videos in the description. Just not saying don't ever get a heat-friendly topper. Some women only wear heat-friendly and they love them. It's more about educating yourself on how to care for them. That's the biggest concern with heat-friendly. Another very important consideration is what size base are you going to need that's going to solve the problem or help you solve the problem that you're looking to solve. So the first thing you have to do is measure the top of your head where you need the coverage. So I recommend taking a soft tape measure and looking at, like, obviously I would need all the coverage, but if you don't have as much hair loss as I have, what I would do is I would start wherever you need that topper to start. If you've got some hair to blend, you don't have to start at your hairline. Wherever it is that you need that coverage to start, you measure from that point to the very back of where you need the coverage. That's your first measurement. Then your second measurement is side to side. So basically what we're measuring is what's the minimum base size that I would need to cover the area that I'm looking to cover. So let's look at this piece right here. This is the one that Name Brand Wigs sent me. This is Amore. The brand is Amore, and it's called Pixie TP Mono. And it's a 5.5 by 5. That's the base, 5.5 by 5. So when I put this on my head, I'm getting coverage from here to here and from here to here. Now, this one is a pixie, so it's a really short style. So if you have short hair, this is going to work well. Obviously, though, if you can sometimes get away with a smaller base if it's got longer hair, because it's going to give you much more coverage down the front and the back. So that's the other thing. The base is one thing, the length of the hair is the other. Another example is, this one is a John Renault topper. I think it's the Top Smart. This was donated to me and I didn't have a tag, so I'm not 100% positive, but I think it's a Top Smart, and the base here is a 9 by 9. This is a bigger base. It's not the biggest base that's out there, but it's a bigger base. So when I put this one on, and it has a lace front, so I'm going to start that at my hairline. Lace fronts are hard to blend your own hair with. So if you plan to pull hair out in the front, I wouldn't recommend getting a lace front. But then I've got much more coverage. You can see the topper ends right, can you see where I am? Right here. And then it goes all the way down to here. So that's giving me a lot more coverage. And so that's going to be better for someone with either a lot more diffuse hair loss on top, or if you're looking for more hair, you just want a little bit more volume, having a bigger topper will also provide you with that. But that's a consideration. Measure your hair loss and then figure out what's the minimum base that you can use to cover that. And you'll want to determine how you're going to attach it. We've already talked about that in the sort of challenges section. Clips, combs, a band. I mean, some of these things you can modify yourself. If the topper is big enough, if the base is big enough and there's enough hair, you could take out some of these clips and add combs. You could sew a band on the back, just like the one that I showed you from Thin Hair Thick. You can add, let me find it here, you can add your own band to a topper. You can add your own band to a wig. So consider the way to adhere it, but know that you do have some other options, even if it comes with something that you're not ultimately going to use. And finally, determining color. Now, if it's a human hair wig, it is possible to color a human hair wig. There are some considerations with that are beyond the scope of this video, but most human hair wigs can at least be colored. They sometimes can't be lightened, but that really depends. And keep in mind, like I said earlier, you can go a little bit lighter on the top than on the underside, or get a piece that has highlighting, as long as the base color of the piece is close to your bio hair color, you can also make that work. Some of this depends on the length you're going to wear as well. If you've got shoulder length hair and the piece goes down about the same length as your own hair, that's going to make it blend a lot easier. Some people will purchase a topper if it has a big enough base and enough hair that's a little bit longer than their bio hair, and that can typically work as well, again, depending on your blending situation. You can always take a topper in to have it trimmed up so that it matches your bio hair. It's hard to find a stylist that will do that with synthetic, but human hair, you should be able to find someone that will help you blend your own hair with that topper. So color is something to consider, and you can get creative with it if you're comfortable. It can be a challenge too, but I would just say anytime you make a purchase, note what you've learned from that purchase if you have to make a return. That way, the next time you can make a different choice. If it's the base is too small, keep a note, keep a spreadsheet, keep it on your phone, notes app, write in a notebook the size base that you purchased and where it was too small, so the next time you can make a different choice. Let's summarize everything that we talked about. I think toppers can be a fantastic option if you're suffering from hair loss. There are a lot of things to consider, but if you can find a base size that works for you, a hair texture that works for you, a color that works for you, then toppers can be a great addition. Even if you don't wear a topper all of the time, if you're looking for something to enhance your hair for a special event or a date night, or just doing something where you really don't want to deal with your bio hair, a topper can be really beneficial. There are a lot of women out there who own some toppers and some wigs, and they alternate depending on what you're trying to do. If I could handle clips, I would definitely have some toppers in my wig closet. Now that I know about thin hair thick, I'm half tempted to grow my hair out to try one, but at the end of the day, there should be a solution that's going to work for you. It just may take some time. I want you to educate yourself, watch lots of videos, but know that they're very likely, if you don't have as much hair loss as I have, there is very likely a topper out there that will work for you. If you have a tiny little bit of hair loss, you can get toppers with teeny tiny bases. I recommend going to namebrandwigs.com and checking out their topper selection. That's a great place to start. If you're looking for human hair toppers, there are a lot of options out there for that as well, but I think you're in the right place to get started on this journey. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. And I wish you well, and I'll say prayers in my heart for those of you who are on this journey trying to figure it out. It can be challenging at first, but you can get there. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys in my next video.